I'm in the 2022 Audi e-tron Chronos Black Edition. This fully loaded e-tron is coming in around $86,000. And with only 222 miles of EPA range, is this a good consideration for a luxury EV? Stay tuned to find out. First things first, we're gonna get under the hood of the e-tron for 2022, and just keep in mind there is an update for 2023. They have given it another refresh. It looks a little bit different on the front grille, but the naming is the main difference, as well as a few tunings to the steering and suspension on that. We have a little frunk here, which gives us plenty of space to store the included cables here. We have a level 1 and a level 2 here, and up to 150 kilowatts on DC fast charging. SQA e-tron can come with a larger battery. Here this is at 95 kilowatts, but only 86 is usable, and that gets us 225 miles of estimated range. I've been filling up to about 80% overnight, and that gets me about 175 miles of 80% range. Typically you're driving around at 355 horsepower and a little over 400 pound-feet of torque, but there is an overboost function on here that's going to be the best acceleration, boosts the power to 402 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. It's definitely snappy. It's not the quickest electric SUV out there, but it's definitely going to be quicker than just about any gas car on the market. Definitely more responsive. So let's talk about the exterior. This is in the Navarro blue color, which is amazing. And this Chronos edition comes out with the blacked out Audi grille. You have the S-line styling on here. It's really attractive. You have beautiful 21-inch wheels with these yellow, I feel like it's more of like a cheddar color for the brake calipers. And I love that we have the e-tron accented with that bright yellow neon orange sort of color. Now, we have different ways to charge the vehicle. This side is just a AC charger. If we go to the other side, yes, you can charge it on two sides of the vehicle. This is the first electric car I've seen that allows you to charge on both sides that I've reviewed anyways. And this is, of course, you can use the DC fast charger over here or your level 1 or 2 at home as well. You just press that, closes it up. Nice little trick for us. I love the blacked out theme on this vehicle. I already mentioned the front grille. We have these digital matrix headlights that put on a nice show for us when you turn on and off the car. And we like the blacked out mirrors, the blacked window surrounds. Like, this is one of the most gorgeous electric cars on the market, and most people don't even know it's an electric car. That's one of the great things about it. It doesn't look gimmicky, it doesn't look over the top, and this vehicle can tow up to 4,000 pounds, mind you, and just the back end looks very unassuming. You have the blacked out e-tron and the blacked out Quattro badges, but overall this thing is low, wide, sleek, beautiful, and it would definitely be a car I would be happy to live with for a long time, because I feel like this overall design is so clean that it would age very, very well. What might not age well is the range, and we'll talk more about that later, but let's go ahead and get on. Your mobile device is still in the vehicle. Okay, let me know my phone is in there, but I actually want to get into the trunk area to show you the cargo space. So let's go ahead and do that. 28 cubic feet of cargo space here. For me, one of the big surprises is that we have a spare tire on this and additional cargo underneath, so pretty usable. You can also fold down these back seats here with these little levers, and we also have this cargo net to keep your things in place because it does have a lot of torque. Now, sitting in the back row here, I don't have the most legroom. At least it's kind of this nice soft touch brown material on the back. I mean, it's harder, but it's still soft touch, if that makes sense. We have window shades on this edition, as well as a very basic back door. At least it's soft touch here at the top. We have multiple air vents back here, very much like the GV60 from Genesis on the B pillar here, as well as in the center console. In the back, we have heated seats as well as climate control. And then down below, we have USBs as well as a 12 volt and a very good view of this panoramic sunroof. Folding down the armrest here, it does a couple tricks for us. It's going to give us some really small cup holders, and then also almost a pointless like storage place in here. It couldn't even fit my hand. Headroom is really good back here, but unfortunately I just don't have the legroom to make this that comfortable on long trips. Sitting on the front seat here, we do have memory seats, not only for the driver but also the passenger. This has the Bang & Olufsen sound system. The highs and mids sound pretty good, but it's lacking on the bass. We also just have a very basic door here that doesn't scream $85,000+, but when I close it, pretty solid slam overall. We have this nice wood trim at the top that is seen on all the e-trons that I believe. I really enjoy having that wood touch in here. E-tron is also illuminated with this cool lighting at nighttime that is very similar to the S8 that I drove a couple weeks ago. And just like the S8, we have a lot of screens going on. We have Android Auto up here, which I love how there's additional manual control buttons here to get right into your favorite stations and whatnot. But I'll show you my favorite way to play with this vehicle is to keep Android Auto here, keep my radio stations on this customizable MID right here where it shows us your range on the left, climate control here. We also have massaging, heated and ventilated seats up front, which is great. You also have your heated steering wheel option down here as well. And these AC ventilated seats are some of the best I've tested. I wish the materials were a little bit better in here. Yes, we have cool lights, like the interior has a better effect at nighttime with the lines and the accent lighting, but unfortunately, like, this doesn't scream luxury to me either with this plastic piece in the middle. And something that drives me a bit crazy, one, I don't have a wireless charger in here. I have to use it. I guess it's an optional feature, but can't believe it's not included for over $80,000. And then these cup holders are really, really small. I really have to shove my drink down in there for it to hold. And even then, like, it's still a little bit loose. So not my favorite cup holders in the world. We have additional storage in here that you can run your cables into, like this middle portion if you want to kind of hide them or tuck them away. And this armrest does move forward and back if you want it to. We have an excellent head-up display. It's the same head-up display that we had in the S8 a couple weeks ago. Amazing, super bright, very clear. Now, before we get driving, we do have soft closing doors here. I forgot to mention on the front and the back. I love that luxury feature. And we also have a customizable seats, more than just massaging. So I can extend my thigh at the bottom to support my legs, and I can also adjust the thigh bolster and side bolsters as well. So the seat customization for the driver is quite amazing. And this is a great safety feature. So I was driving off, I didn't push the hood down all the way. It beeps to let me know. And also, not only that does it come up on this screen, but it came up on the head-up display letting me know that the hood was open. This is absolutely perfect because it lets you know the level of thought going into this car compared to something like the Polestar 2. The Polestar 2 has two hood latches. One would latch, and apparently the one that didn't latch when I was doing the review didn't give me any sort of warning. So I was driving on the highway with the hood half open, I guess you could say, because I only had one of the two latches latched. Here on this Audi, they're like, no, it looks latched on the outside, but they're like, you need to push it down even further for the additional latch. So Audi is definitely going to be looking through all the small details as well compared to some of the competition out there. And go. Does not launch hard unless you're in that dynamic mode, but there's 60. 0 to 60 in 6.18. That's in my custom mode. It is kind of a balanced mode. It is not going to give me the full horsepower number, the 400 or so. Now I'm just going to press the drive down one more time. The bar goes to a full green bar. Let me know I have a lot more power, and it launched way harder there. It's pulling so much harder. And 0 to 60 in 5.3 there. It might be a little bit better in dynamic mode. It might be slightly lower to the ground, but low fives is what I read around on the internet. So that is only going to be in that boost mode, and most of the time you're probably not even going to be using that. Highway speed's going about 60 miles an hour. This road is never the quietest, but like even with these massive 21-inch wheels, this e-tron with the dual pane acoustic glass on the front windows and the windshield, like, it's a very smooth and quiet experience. It might be the quietest EV I've driven. It's probably up there with the G80 electric sedan. And on the highway, when you need that passing power, I don't even have to put it in sport mode, pedal down, and you just have that instant torque and acceleration. You're not waiting around the power, and that immediately got me from about 50 miles an hour to 75 miles an hour without breaking a sweat. And it would be even more aggressive if I put it into this sport mode here for a second. And the safety features on here are not the greatest, to be honest. When I put on radar cruise control and set it, it does pop up on the head-up display that, hey, I'm locked in at 59 miles an hour here. And unfortunately, it's just terrible at reading the lines. Like, it should, for a vehicle of this quality, it should be keeping me straight in the lines. It's not always the case. Sometimes I feel like I'm ping-ponging all over the place like I'm doing right now. Like, it's just unfortunate because there are $20,000, $30,000 cars on the market that do a better job with radar cruise control than this. So even though we have a large battery pack in here, the reason why it doesn't get better range is that it's very heavy. It's not the most aerodynamic vehicle. It's also not the most efficient for many different reasons. So I'm averaging about 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour with my driving. The best case scenario is about 3 miles per kilowatt hour. So even though this has a massive 95 kilowatt hour battery with 86 kilowatts of it usable, it just doesn't make the most of it compared to some of the other competitors out there on the market with dedicated battery electric vehicle platforms. We don't have a lot of windy roads in Florida, but that's where I feel like this vehicle, even though it is really heavy and pretty big, it's probably one of the best handling EV crossovers, if not the best handling EV crossover I've thrown into the turns. The smaller and a little bit lighter Genesis GV60, yes, it had more outright performance and a straight line, but the suspension in the turns didn't feel quite as planted, and the steering is a little bit more accurate here in the e-tron compared to, let's say, the Volvo XC40 as well. Again, like I said, we don't have a lot of turns here in Florida, but I can try to take this one at some speed here, still in dynamic mode. Yeah, it grips well, and then it's just, you know, immediately puts down that power. And I just love this so-called gas pedal because even though it has a little bit too much progression for my likes, it does have such an accurate delivery of power. And in terms of driving dynamics, I feel like the Audi does have a little bit more of an edge over even the Polestar 2 that I've driven, as well as the, let's say, the XC40 Recharge, which is very much the same vehicle as the Polestar 2. But the Volvo XC40 has a better interior than this. This is like a little much overload with the screens, even though it is extremely functional. I just like the simplicity that we have on the Volvo, and the interior quality seems to be a little bit better with materials as well. One of the massive advantages, like say the Volvo XC40 has over this, as well as the Polestar 2, is they have like the best one pedal driving I've ever tested out. The GV60 and the Genesis models, as well as the Ioniq models from Hyundai, they have a really good iPedal, their one pedal driving, but it's not quite as accurate or as nailed down as the Volvo and Polestar one pedal driving. And unfortunately, it's not even offered at all here. I have multiple levels of regen braking, but they never feel quite right. And you know, even if you're using the regen braking to the max, it doesn't stop the car here. So luckily, this has one of the best brake feels out of any car, let alone electric cars, out of any car. So like, it doesn't bother me that much. If the brake pedal was a bit hard to work with predictability, I'd probably harp on it a little bit more for not having that one pedal driving, but it is just so good and so accurate, and it has such great feedback, this brake pedal. Sometimes though, when you're coming to a stop, like, it can be hard to bring this vehicle for the last like 5 miles an hour down really like smoothly. So it feels like from about 5 miles an hour to 0, sometimes it feels like you're stomping on the brakes and you get this nosedive going on. I've gotten better at it as the more I've driven this vehicle, but it's still not the easiest vehicle to smoothly bring to a stop, and it's nowhere close to that last 0 mile per hour refinement like the XC40 Recharge has, for example. And even the Volvo plug-in hybrids have a great one pedal driving even when you're in hybrid mode. So I'm going to try to bring it to a stop here very smoothly, and you really have to, yeah, and I still wasn't able to do it even with me trying and pulling off that brake pedal at the last second. With only 220 miles of range or so and acceleration that's average for its class, it is hard to recommend this vehicle on pure specs. Luckily, there are some intangibles here that it just does great with, like the handling feels right. The brake pedal and gas pedal tuning is right on cue and right on point. It is super quiet as long as you're not dealing with these synthetic noises around town, but on the highway, it's very, very quiet. The ride quality in here is amazing. It's super smooth. Even in like dynamic mode, it's still very, very smooth and comfortable ride. With the 2023 refresh that they've updated it, and you now have an option for a larger battery pack, that makes a lot more sense for this price of vehicle. So it's really tough to recommend around $86,000 due to its limitations. But let's say you're only driving this around town, then you can make a case for it because it's plenty fast for the streets. It's plenty of range on a daily basis at 170 miles when you charge it up to about 80%. It is rewarding to drive with pace, and it is always comfortable and quiet. And I do feel like I have a lot of technology and features for the money. It's just sometimes the materials don't represent the price tag. But there's something that's not on the spec sheet that definitely steals my heart over, let's say, the GV60, for example. And that is its gorgeous, understated, yet aggressive styling. Audi styling is beautiful. Even Volkswagen's designs generally are pretty good. And I need to make sure I get in front of that tractor. So let's go ahead and roll onto the throttle, pedal down, and I'm not in sport mode. And then once I press that, it's off to the races. It's just so smooth and quiet. But the styling, I don't think is enough for me to recommend this vehicle over some of the competition like the XC40. I know the XC40 is a little bit smaller, maybe compares more to the Q4 e-tron. I haven't driven that, so I'm just comparing this to what I know. The GV60 from Genesis has better materials than this. It's faster, has about the same, if not better, range as well. Fun to drive in the turns, but obviously in here in Florida, like, what does that matter? For me, it doesn't matter really at all because there are none. In a week from driving this e-tron, I will also be driving a new luxury entrant onto the EV luxury space, and that'll be the Lexus RZ450e. So it'll be a great comparison versus the e-tron Chronos edition here. But there's actually one more direct competitor to this vehicle coming out this year from Genesis. That is the GV70 electric, built in Alabama, so it will qualify for some shape or form for the EV tax credit, which this vehicle does not anymore. That GV70 will have better performance than this, similar range. We don't know the range on it, but the interior is way nicer on the GV70, and it will be on the electric model as well. And the styling, I think, on the exterior is just as strong as this e-tron. So Audi has their work cut out for them, but I really can only recommend this to those who don't have to drive out of town hardly ever, who drive less than, let's say, 150 miles on a daily basis. But I'll see you guys down below in the comment section on this e-tron Chronos. I'll see you guys on my second channel answering those questions, addressing your comments and concerns about this electric luxury crossover. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this video and enjoy this vehicle, make sure to smash the like button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.